Class is in session. Welcome to Digital Scribology. I'm your professor, your instructor, your coach, Nayim Edwards. And today, let's discuss what rappers don't tell you about self-defense. Violence has always been a part of nature and it always will be. I've said before that music and art is how people kept up with what was going on with the mindset of the people in whatever era they came from. Violence is a part of all genres. We can go to country music as far back as Johnny Cash saying, I shot a man just to watch him die, or as early as SZA, Kill Bill, where she says, I just killed my ex, not the best idea. The reason why we have to hone in and focus on rappers, not just because rap is the number one genre on the planet, but it's the most impactful and the most influential. We can say what we want to about other people having greater and bigger success, but they don't have greater or bigger impact than a rapper. Whether a person speak English or don't even know what's going on, they want to look like rappers, be like rappers, act like rappers, talk like rappers. Whatever rappers do, that's where people follow. So I just feel like we need to go ahead and let you know what happens when the song go off, because they don't ever tell you about what happens after the fact. It's always, hey, my justification for, put whatever you want in the slot, is my opposition tried to do something to me. Whether somebody say, he tried to rob me, so I shot him. He tried to snatch my chain, so I hit him with my car. I never heard nobody in a rap say they hit somebody with their car. But you get what I'm saying? That's all. They always have some type of justification, but they don't tell you what happens after that. We got a couple of rappers who, like people like the Baby, who have had justifiable self-defense, whatevers, or somebody right now like K Flock, or our good friend of the week, BTB Savage, where that didn't really end, but that's how his story ended. But let's just go ahead and give you this disclaimer. This is just one of those educational episodes. It's probably going to be long. It's probably going to be boring. So we're going to put some chapters in here if you just want to read through the chapters, or you want to skip around, do you, whatever. And I am not a lawyer, but I got 10 points that might save your life and give you something to think about when you're listening to these songs. So, and they're in no particular order. Point one, use of force. Let's just define what use of force is. Use of force, a rapper, and this is one of the most important ones that I thought, because we know that use of force is shooting somebody, slapping them, kicking them, punching them, stabbing them, defending yourself, defending your family or another person is what it would be, or defending your property. But a rapper won't tell you that a threat is use of force. So when you hear Chief Keef say stuff like, try to take my chain, I ain't going, he might not be telling you, but you know what I ain't going means. Making a threat is use of force in the eyes of the law. We don't really have to stay there with that. But just know when you hear somebody say, like somebody like 21 Savage say, spin the block twice like it ain't nowhere to park, that's a threat. That is considered use of force in the eyes of the law. The second thing you need to take into consideration of what a rapper won't tell you is the location of the self-defense. My question for you would be, do you live somewhere where self-defense is legal? Because there are a lot of places out here we know where self-defense is not legal. New York has no self-defense. Point blank period. It is not legal, and there's no legal justification for self-defense in New York. Point blank period. Opposed to a place like Texas. And when we talk about location, consider, does the place you live have castle doctrine? Is it stand your ground where you live? Do you have a duty to retreat where you live? And can you defend property where you live? A lot of places have duty to retreats, and a lot of places say you can't use deadly force to defend property. So if some rapper is talking about he's going to kill somebody if they snatch his chain, where did they snatch your chain at? Where did they snatch your chain at? What are you going to do? Because you can't kill them because they snatched your chain. You can't kill them because they stole your car. That, were they running away when they snatched your chain? That's duty to retreat. They're not gonna tell you that because they probably don't know themselves. And now I'm thinking about it. We don't need to sit on all these points. I feel like if you over here, you got something going on upstairs. So it's just something to think about, because if you're in Texas, where you can use deadly force to defend your property, if you snatch my chain and I'm in Texas and I shoot you, that is justified in the eyes of the law because I'm defending my property in some type of way. Because usually property is like your house or somebody coming, but everything else I'll say, opposed to in New York, if I snatch the chain off your neck and I'm running away, all you can do is just go report it. Just something to think about. Location. Do you live somewhere where self-defense is legal? The third thing is all the legal problems that you're going to succumb to when you get yourself into a self-defense situation. I'm going to tell you because maybe you don't know or maybe nobody told you, but once you get swept up into the legal system or the criminal justice system, no one cares. The criminal justice system is a system for processing criminals. If you did something and you were justified in it, no, you shouldn't be in that system, but your fate is not determined by you. By definition, self-defense is a confession. And you're trying to get other people who don't know anything and don't know what's going on or don't know what happened, and that's a point on the list later down the line, but like, you're trying to prove that what you did was justified. So there's these things that happen where there's no such thing as a 0% chance of you getting convicted if you get into a self-defense situation. It's always going to be a chance that you will be. You've never done anything in your life where you felt like, hey, there's a 0% chance I might not die. There's a 0% chance that nothing will happen. There's a 0%, it's never been zero. It's always some type of number. And as long as the number is greater than zero, there's a chance that it can happen, even if it's low. So you can be all the way in the right and still, if a prosecutor has any type of feeling or any type of thought that you need to go to trial, you're going to go to trial. A rapper not going to tell you that. A rapper could get beat up and getting stomped in the head on camera. And if a prosecutor thinks that because that rapper pulled out a gun and killed their opposition, that person should go to trial. Even though we watched the video from beginning to end, somebody came in, and I'm thinking about like PNB Rock. Like PNB Rock was running his goddamn mouth on the internet, all on the video, talking crazy and all this other stuff, just like everybody else do. Or our good friend BTB Savage, all in the video, laughing and standing in the blood and taking pictures and stuff. And then somebody come and kill him because of that. Or even maybe rewind it a little bit where somebody came to him and it was justified. If there was some type of reason that a prosecutor thought that he wasn't justified, and it doesn't have to be a reason you understand or you agree with, you're gonna go to trial. And the crazy thing about self-defense is if you don't get self-defense, all the charges that come after a deadly, we're talking deadly, all the charges that come after a deadly self-defense usually carry fucking close to life in prison. All aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, getting a murder charge, manslaughter. You can get 20, 30 years for these charges. A rapper is not going to tell you that. And I'm going to keep saying a rapper is not going to tell you that. And we can run off the examples all we want to, because these are things you need to know. And we're only on point 3. The thing is, and let's just define what assaults are. A simple assault is putting somebody in fear of being harmed. You don't have to have a weapon. They just have to believe you have some type of weapon. You don't have to have done anything. It's just they think that they're going to be harmed. And aggravated assault is putting people in imminent imminent fear that they will be harmed. And imminent means they think they're going to be killed. Well, imminent think they're going to be killed. Aggravated assault. Imminent aggravated assault is putting people in imminent fear of being killed. And what imminent means is it's going to happen right now. And imminent just means right now. So like I said, you don't have to have a weapon. They just got to think you have a weapon. And a lot of these things, the last thing you might want to consider is the mandatory minimums where you at. And that's why all these things fall into each other. Just tracking back to location is like, if you live somewhere where you get aggravated assault, the mandatory minimum for that might be 20 years. So a rapper tried to punch you in the face, Pooh Shiesty, or something happens to you while you at the club performing, and you jump into the crowd and you start stomping that nigga head, and you say, I'm defending myself, and now you getting 20 years in jail because you tried to kill a nigga by stomping him in the head. See how fast that turned into something, and they're not telling you any of that? Because the thing with self-defense is you are either guilty or you are innocent. Like I said, self-defense is a confession, and you are trying to defend yourself. And it only has to be a couple of things. And it's like 3 main things for self-defense. But I'm going to put those right here with point 4. It is only self-defense if you can prove innocence, imminence, proportionality, avoidance, and reasonableness. And I'm going to go through those in a second. But it's 3 things when you are on trial for your self-defense: reasonable fear, imminence, and deadly force. If you got those 3, if they can prove it, that, hey, it's self-defense because they had a reasonable fear, it was imminent danger, and they used the deadly force, you're going to get acquitted. Congratulations, you got your self-defense. But if you can't prove those 3, you're guilty. But it is only self-defense if you are innocent. That means you can't start the fight. Point blank period. You can't start the altercation. 2, imminence. It has to be right now. It can't be something you said last week or something you did or you think it's going to happen a later time. Like, it has to be like, I'm fearing for my life right in this second. Something's going to happen to me right now. Proportionality. Proportionality is you can't use deadly force for non-deadly situations. So a fist fight, if it's 2 people, if these 2 computers was people and these 2 computers was fighting, this computer couldn't pull out a gun and shoot this one in the head. We know that's how stuff goes nowadays, and that's why you go to jail for murder and all of that stuff. But it has to be equal. So if you have a knife and you have a gun, I mean, a knife is a deadly weapon too, but if you have no weapons and you have a weapon, you can't get into a fight with somebody and just pull your weapon out and scream self-defense. It's not proportional. It doesn't make sense. It's not a fair fight. And that's basically what that is saying. Avoidance. If you had the opportunity to not be in the area, not, get away from this, like, get away from the death part of it. A lot of times they'll tell you that you need to carry alternative weapons because, and I'll say alternative weapons, stuff like pepper spray, a pocket knife, or something like that, because that gives you number 5, which is the reasonableness. Like, it has to be objectivable of objectivity. You need to have the objectivity to have the reasonableness of why you killed them. Because if you say, hey, I pulled out my mace, I pulled out my knife, and they still kept trying to hurt me, I had no choice but to kill them. But see, the thing with these 5, and I'm going to repeat them one more time: innocence, imminence, proportionality, avoidance, and reasonableness. If you can even prove, if you can even disprove one of those, it's not self-defense. You can be too 3, 4, 500% innocent, 3,000% imminence, avoidance. You could have tried to avoid it and had all the reasonableness. But if the proportionality was not there, say they did not have no weapon, you was just getting your ass whooped. Quando Rondo and King Von. Quando Rondo, well, I don't know, man, because they say that nigga Von was a killer. So it's like, but in the situation, Von didn't have no weapon. So the fact that somebody else, well, I don't, that's not a good example because he was already on trial for them trying to kill somebody. But if you are not in the right because you were getting your ass whooped and you pulled out a gun and you killed them because you was in a fist fight, they didn't have no weapons or no nothing, they're not going to look at it as a self-defense. So if you don't have all of those 5, it's not self-defense no more. And that's all the legalities of the heavy lifting. These next 5 points are just, these are the things that you really need to think about on a personal level for your self-defense. Number 5, I have the expenses. A lot of times rappers brag about how much murder trials cost. 50K, 30K, 100K, 200K. The range for a self-defense case, because you can rack up a whole lot of charges before you even get to go to trial. $30,000 to $300,000 in legal expenses trying to, whatever, yourself, trying to beat your self-defense. So if you don't have any money, you don't even really have no reason to be getting into no conflicts, because that will bankrupt you and bankrupt your family, point blank, period. And I mean, you're going to pay that money back any type of way. The 6th thing is nobody really knows what happened. The police don't know what happened when they show up. Eyewitnesses don't know what happened, because how many times have you had 5 people to give an account of the same thing everybody saw, and then you got 5 different accounts of what was being seen. You don't even know what happened because you're under so much stress, and juries know less than anybody because juries are a blank slate. They don't know anything. You walk in and somebody's telling you everything you need to know, and they're just analyzing it and giving a verdict down, and they're absolutely the worst people in the self-defense case, because they're only given, if you've ever had jury duty, and a lot of times people that are on juries, they probably don't even want to be there, so they'll rush through it or ignore it or not whatever, and there's no such thing as not being able to be biased. So that's going to be a problem that you run into or whatever, but nobody knows what happened. Not you, not the police, not the witness, not the jury, nobody. So number 7 is real self-defense is life-altering. We hear people brag, like the biggest thing, the reason why I'm even doing this is because people brag about their self-defense. I've bragged about self-defense situations myself. I'm not ashamed of that. It is what it is. But the thing with real self-defense is these rappers aren't even who they say they are. So when you got a fake nigga bragging about really doing something that most people, it's easier to digest looking at a movie of somebody die. It's easier to digest watching your favorite rapper get shot and bleed out and cry out in the street and die. But if you actually had to be the person on the other side and you actually had to be there, you realize that that's not a natural human state. A real self-defense situation is going to give you examples of stuff that might happen to you. Is you will have nightmares of you're going to be haunted by what you had to do, because even in the most dire and terrible of situations, people don't want to take life. Like, that's not a natural thing for us to want to take life. And my theory about the naturalness, now some groups are more prone to, but that's something else. We're not going to go there today. It's not a natural thing for the standard, average, regular, healthy mind to want to take life because we don't know what happens after we die. There's no 100% guarantee. That's why religions and spirituality and those type of things exist, because we don't really know what's going on the other side. So for you to play God, that's going to haunt you, even if you was right, even if you did it for the number one law of being a human being, which is self-preservation. You're going to be throwing up. You've ever heard people talk about having to shoot somebody? You know, a lot of times you heard, if you've ever talked to a person who's ever killed somebody, they'll tell you how they threw up. Like their first kill made them throw up, or they had to get high, which will bring me into, you're going to slip into mental illness. And I will put being on drugs as a mental illness, because you are dependent on drugs. You might be, you might not be on drugs. You might slip into depression. You might commit suicide. All those things is mental illness. This is coming from the aftermath of the self-defense. You did something right. You did something you were supposed to do, and which was protect your life, protect your family, and all of that. And now you're throwing up. You having nightmares. You might get cast out by the people you live around, because you, like I said before, if you do a real self-defense, a lot of times, those people move away. They have to get out of that area, because it's just like, damn, like people are going to be looking at you. If you've ever had to do self-defense that caused life to be lost, or, self-defense in general is life-altering, but it's like, there's so many psychological things that you're going to have to go through, but people will look at you a different type of way if you do something to somebody, or you took life, even if, because it's like, in the real world, if you had somebody who stayed beside you who killed somebody, and they wasn't like in the military or something like that, like no matter what, there's gonna be some type of stigma there that comes with that. And a rapper is not gonna tell you that. We glorify that kind of stuff. We love that kind of stuff because we're in this age of being desensitized. My 8th point is avoid all fights at all costs. And I threw that one up there because listen to everything. Rewind it if you don't understand the gravity of what I'm telling you. There's always, I wrote down, it says a 10% chance of a conviction. 10% ain't zero, and 10% is low, but a 1 in 10 chance that you can go to jail for the rest of your life is not where you want to spend it. No. And I know that like your pride and your ego and all of that stuff, but that's point number 10. And I'm going to just go to point number 9. Point number 9 is everything can be used against you in court. Point blank, period. Stickers on your car can be used against you in court. Your social media, if you got videos saying fuck the police, the stickers on your car that say goddamn terrorist killer, shit like that, altering your weapons. So if you got a customized 1911 with the gold, whatever, you can't say that's your self-defense weapon. I'm telling you this because this is what I know. Like, customized Punisher plates on the back of your Glick. I said that's crazy. Punisher plates on the back of your Glick. I heard that in a song. The clothes you wear can be used against you in court. I'm telling you, everything can be used against you in court because people on your jury, but the judge and the prosecutor, everybody is going to say all of that stuff attributes to your state of mind, and your state of mind was you are a killer. If you walked out the house dressed like a gangbanger, they're going to assume that you was ready to do gang violence on somebody. It doesn't have to make sense. You're dealing with a very chaotic, ridiculous system. And my last point is it worth it? You are not a rapper. You're not a rapper. And if you are a rapper, you're not built for a real self-defense case, more than likely. I'm just going to be honest with you. Whether it's 0.5, whether it's 0.3, whether it's 0.2, where you just don't have no goddamn choice. And is it worth it? Because you can die, the death of your friends, the death of your loved ones, life in prison, getting maimed. Don't let your pride be your poison, your ego and being petty and all of that shit get in your way. because none of it is going to help you, and you will have no benefits from any of that. And that's how I feel about. It's not even how I feel. That's what rappers are not telling you about self-defense. None of that stuff. And I guess since we did this in a chapter version, we'll just read through these again. So, chapter 1, use of force. Chapter 2, location. Do you live somewhere where self-defense is legal? You're going to have plenty of legal problems. It's only self-defense if you can prove innocence, imminence, proportionality, avoidance, reasonableness, objective reasonableness. Self-defense is expensive. Do you have any money for that? Nobody knows what really happened, not even you. The eyewitnesses don't know what happened. The jury doesn't know what happened. Real self-defense is life-altering. Avoid all fights at all costs. Everything can be used against you in court. And is it worth it? Class is dismissed.